we are going to start with a basic edit and then jump into using the adjustment brush. So I'm going to keep the Adobe standard profile, and I don't think I'm going to do any color balance as of yet. So I'm going to come down to the blacks, and I'm going to start to push that over to the first point where I start to get a clipping warning. And same thing with the whites. I'm just pushing it over a little bit. Right about there. And remember, I can always kind of see what I've got going by hitting the eyeball. Let's see, next up, let's push the highlights down. And notice what's happening up in the sky when I do that. The sky is starting to come in. Boy, I'd like more of that to come in, but I'm already at 100%. Let's see what happens when I do the shadows. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to add some contrast. And maybe pop the exposure just a tick. Okay, so that's looking pretty good for that. Let's add a little texture. There's all of this nice flaking paint going on here, so let's push that up. Let's see, do I like texture or do I like clarity for this? Okay, let's see here. I think I'm going to do a little texture and a little clarity. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, up top here is where I was thinking I really would like a little more cloud definition. So I'm going to come over here to the right hand side, and I'm going to come down to right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th tool down, the adjustment brush, and I'm going to click on that. And notice I have exposure, contrast, highlights, everything we had back in the basics. So I'm going to push my highlights over. My brush is huge, so I'm going to make it smaller, and I'm just using my bracket keys to do that. Over here on the right hand side though, you can see we've got size, feather, flow, density. I am going to click auto mask. That's going to help keep my adjustment off of the tree and this pole here. Let's see what happens now that when I paint in my highlights. It's going a little bit better. Let's play with the whites a little bit. Let's play with some blacks. I'm going to come down here and see if we can up the saturation a little bit. Gets more of that blue coming in there. Oh, that's helping tremendously. Okay, I'm liking that. What about a little dehaze? Oh, there we go. There's the magic, the dehaze. So let's move back up here a little bit and see. Are we really getting what we want out of the highlights? Yeah, now it's working much nicer. So we got some highlights, we have some saturation and some dehaze, and we played a little bit with the blacks and whites. The sky is looking good. So I do want to add another adjustment brush at the bottom of the frame to pull out some of the brightness of the yellows. So to do that, I come back to the panel, and it says brush, and right below that there's a little plus, so I'll click on that, and it will allow me to come down to the bottom and paint. So when I'm doing that, it's using the same corrections that I made earlier, which are not the corrections I want to be using. So one of the things I can do is where it says selective edits, to reset the sliders, I can just hit this little icon right here. And now I've reset them. What I really want to do here is come down to the saturation and pull out a little bit of the saturation and pop up the white a little bit. I think that's looking pretty good. If I go down to the bottom of the frame, and right here it says toggle to default settings, I can see where I started and where I'm at right now. So if I just click there, beginning, end, beginning, end. So that's the basics of the adjustment brush. Give it a try.